Hello, good afternoon and welcome along to Destination Wellbeing. My guest this afternoon is Sinead McGarrigle, and Sinead and I will be chatting all things health, wellbeing. Sinead's a craniosacral therapist, but I'm sure we'll have bits and pieces in there, Sinead, on our own journeys and different bits and pieces as well to hopefully motivate, encourage and inspire you to take responsibility for your own health and your own wellbeing, and to see that there are options out there for mental health, physical health, and bringing them both together really to improve your overall health and well-being. We've some information there that just reminds our viewers that if they have any concerns about their own health or their own well-being, that their first protocol is always their GP, just to check in with them and to make sure that you've got their support of the journey that you're on as well, and that you turn and talk to someone if you feel that you need to. So you're very welcome, Sinead. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
You're welcome. Our paths crossed, I don't know how many, a number of years ago. I had heard about your work as a craniosacral therapist and was recommending different people at different stages when I would find the need for craniosacral therapy, and then finally we got to meet earlier this year.
That's right.
So,
yeah.
It's been one of those things that just it never suited to really meet, but we've got there now, so it's been great. And you work in the neuro area as well, don't you?
I am now working out of Newry Foot Clinic and Seraphic Holistic Therapies.
Yeah.
So I do 1 day a week there. Again, the craniosacral work and also rehabilitation for neck and back care.
Brilliant, excellent. And then you work at other clinics throughout.
That's right. I have my own home clinic in Seaford. So it all falls under the umbrella of Lifetime Health.
Yes, and looking after your well-being from the cradle right through, isn't it? Yeah. And what inspired your journey into where you're at now, I suppose?
I basically started out as a personal trainer. And when people were getting on the treadmill for 10 minutes, I mean, they weren't just talking about the weather. There were personal issues. It could have been antisocial behaviour, marital breakdown, bereavement, a lot of things, life challenges. Mm-hmm. And from that, I just didn't think that I was equipped to deal with that or facilitate that for them. Mm-hmm. So I went back to uni and I studied as a counsellor. And then I went to London and I did my life coaching. Okay. And I just found that those skills really helped to facilitate their journey more and to help them address the physical, which is why they'd come to the gym. Mm-hmm. And also the conversations that we were having during their sessions. So that really was the start of the journey. And then a doctor, Dr. Carol Phillips, came over from the States. And she ran a 2-day workshop on craniosacral therapy. Mm-hmm. So the first day was the theory, the second day was the practical. You got an opportunity to try it. And I was just hooked, and I found that it was the key for me in a treatment that would equally address the physical and mental. And if there's a restriction in the spine or in and around the neck, the cervical, how that can negatively affect you mentally, mm-hmm. and also mentally, if you're not feeling great, it can affect the physical. Yes. So it was, for me, a fantastic way, and really the key then, the last piece in the jigsaw. Mm-hmm. So now I use all of those skills for my customers, for health and well-being, no matter what that may be.
For their overall balance, because
absolutely.
I think that's one of the things too, that often when we maybe set about improving our physical well-being and realise then that maybe what is actually wrong physically is emotional,
yes.
or it has an emotional basis. And we see so many people now taking excessive exercise, which is always great, and I'm not generalising hopefully too much, but sometimes there can be deeper issues there that maybe we find people need for exercise to really push them, drive them, but they're maybe running away from some of the problems.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you know yourself, it's everything in moderation, even moderation itself.
Yeah.
And sometimes, it's seeking out whatever help it is that you need. Mm-hmm. And that could be anything. It could be a one-off CST treatment, or like you say, just getting out for a good walk, or
Yeah,
so all of those types of things.
There's having lots of tools in the box, really, because I find at different stages in life, and I find this with clients, and I'm sure you find it yourself and with clients as well, that different stages in life you need different things. Life never stays the same. We never stay the same. We're changing, we're developing, and our experiences that are going on around us change all the time as well. So.
Well, I was only having a conversation with a lady this morning about that exact thing, and explained to her, you know, there's a lot of people out there who maybe have done a lot of self-development work. So, you know, one of the reasons we're here today is, again, the products, but I was saying, you know, the book, to a lot of people who have done self-development work, they may have heard stuff like this before, but then equally there are other people who have never picked up a self-help book or personal development in any way, and it could be a complete revelation. So it's like you say, you just change at different times on your own journey. You know, someone who's single is going to have a very different, you know, need for somebody who's married with children, or you know what I mean, there are different pressures.
There isn't one thing fits all, really.
Absolutely.
Sure, there's not. And yet we live in a society that tries to put stuff into boxes so much, and everything has to be, even right from children in school, you know, we're setting them all, we're grading them all against a set standard and set boxes that a lot of them don't actually fall into anywhere close. Sure,
that's right.
And as we go into adulthood, that progresses as well. And just interestingly, this last week, someone mentioned to me that one of the radio stations, I think possibly in the south, had carried out. They've got one of their presenters to do 3 months of self-help, which I like to call personal development books, from a negative sort of a perspective. They were kind of trying to knock them on the head and say, no, these don't work, they don't, you know, they're useless. And there's that view. I mean, there may be people watching in today going, oh, what are they? They're not, that's not for me. But actually, she went through them, done the exercises, stuck with it, and came out at the end saying, no, actually, she felt that they made a difference.
That she had benefited.
Yeah, she benefited from them. So, and I think that's one of the things too, we can read them, but if we don't actually do the work, then it doesn't work. Sure, it doesn't.
You know, everything has its place, even, you know, medication, you know, visiting your GP. But I mean, it's pointless being given any prescription if you're just going to take one tablet and then do nothing with the rest. So it's the same principle, you know, any treatment, for example, the treatments that we provide, one treatment's better than nothing, but you know, to get the accumulative benefits, it's really good to do it proactively and on a regular basis.
And you know, one of my key messages would be prevention's better than cure. And it's, as you say, it's proactive. It's having something that you do as part of your lifetime health and your well-being. Really,
absolutely.
But we've mentioned your book, which has been published. The latest one has been published this year.
That's right. This is my first book. There's 4 products that are now available, really around that need that we've been talking about, of physical and mental health. And I just found, again, really even back as far as doing the personal training and right through now to providing treatments and specialising in neck and back care, that if I had £1 for every customer who had said, you should write a book. So I thought, well, let's have a look and see. So the personal development book is there. There's the motivational CD, so that people can listen to it in their car, you know, it could set them up for the day. The relaxation CD, again, is broke up into 2 sections. We talked about, you know, there's varying degrees. Some people will have, you know, maybe do meditation or go to a yoga class and would be very aware. But then I have other customers who wouldn't really know about the causes and the symptoms of stress and anxiety. And this really is great for that because it covers everything. So the first section is all about the causes and symptoms and really educating people on, you know, what they're dealing with and what does it look like and how to recognize it. And then the second sections are broken up into actual exercises and mindfulness relaxation that they can then do at home. And the final product was the neck and back care DVD. So I work in with the rehabilitation and the Sacral, and they're exercises on sheets. So I've been more or less told, you know, you need to bring it up, 2014. So the DVD was filmed back in February. I was very, very lucky. With the BBC, it was a BBC cameraman, a good friend, come over. So everything has worked out really, really well. So I'm really pleased. There's 4 really good quality products that people can have that self-help from home. And there's people, you know, who love going for the treatment, and just financially, where there's a family involved and stuff, it's just not feasible. So they could maybe come for their treatment, be doing the work out of the self-development book over maybe a month or 2, then book in, have a touch base, see how they're getting on, just so that they are proactively and taking responsibility as well for their own health and their well-being.
I think even where we have clients who are maybe taking a treatment once a week, depending on what's going on in your life, if you have a treatment on a Monday, by the following Monday, there could be an awful lot has happened in between, even just a weekly. So then where people will stretch it out to once a month, as you say, maybe financial constraints, time constraints, all of that all come in. From one month to the next, I mean, I know myself, even the last month, so much has happened that without doing my regular meditation practices and my gratitude books and all of those type of things, the month would just go by, and suddenly you'd find yourself thinking, oh, maybe I'm not feeling just so great, or I'm not just as on top of things as I was, or stuff like that. And you realise that what has actually happened is that you haven't been looking after yourself at home. So having that stuff there to become part of your daily life, I mean, I would talk about it should become like brushing your teeth. It's something that you do as part of your health. We don't brush our teeth because we've got rotten teeth. We brush them to prevent it.
Absolutely. I mean, the feedback so far, exactly as what you're pointing out, is just how refreshing it is just to maybe take even one of the techniques in the CD, taking 15 minutes out for yourself to actually lie, headphones on, and how rejuvenated you can be even after that. So it's just giving yourself that time. It doesn't have to be getting in the car, driving to a park. I mean, some people don't have that time to take that, to go for a walk, and then the travelling time back, it's just too much. Where this is quick, it's, it's
there.
And you can still take that time out. And I would use the analogy all the time about looking after your car. If you don't put the petrol in, it's not going to go. And your MOT. And it literally is like giving yourself a regular physical and mental MOT, a bit of a time out, and it's important.
Taking the foot off the accelerator for a wee while, isn't it? Because our lives have just gotten so busy. Whether they've gotten busy or we've let them get busy or whatever, we can look at all the reasons and probably analyse them. But generally speaking, I think we'd all be in agreement that there's much more demands on us as people. As individuals than what there has ever probably been.
And I think it's really, really important, exactly what you were saying earlier. And it does say it in the book, and it says that in each of the CDs and the DVD, it's one thing to actually have the product. You then need to proactively keep doing it in order to reap the full benefits of it. And then you'll find that non-consciously you're just going ahead and you are much calmer, or you are naturally taking more time out than what you maybe would have. So it's really, really important, I think, to get the time out, to find something that works for you. If it's something that you need that's short and small, it might be the DVD, or if you maybe need a bit of direction, it could be the personal development book. So all of those types of things, but definitely to keep it going. You need to proactively.
And I think repetition is key, isn't it? I mean, it's the repetition of anything. So I remember listening to a guy speaking a while back, and he said, whatever you're doing, do regularly. So whether it's weight loss or it's whatever it is, try and stick with what you can do on a regular basis. So if regular becomes once a week, then let it be once a week, but don't try and do it every day for 6 days, 7 days, and then break the habit
of not doing
it at all. If you can manage it once a week, keep it going once a week, but don't
and again,
put yourself under more pressure trying to do something.
Those types of tips are in there, you know, that to make sure that it's practical and realistic for you. So in all of the products, they're just jam-packed with information for physical and mental health and well-being.
The view, I loved the idea that it's, you know, from the opening page of your book, you talk about it being your experience, and we all have experiences in life that can help and benefit others, and then some people connect in with that, and then there may be other times in life where you connect in with other stuff that's going on as well.
Absolutely, it's important to find what works for you, wherever you are at that moment in time. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, there's because we're always, I would often notice too, whenever it comes to self-help books or personal development books, that sometimes you maybe pick one up and you think, no, that's not for me today, but you could revisit it again in 3 months' time and it's totally for you in that space. I think it's the best book ever, or the best, you've taken so much from it. So the book hasn't changed. The only thing we can, I suppose, decide then is that we have changed as individuals.
The feedback has been wonderful, and it's really interesting how people pick out different chapters. You know, one lady was explaining to me that she's at the forgiveness chapter at the moment, and is finding it really emotional for her. And another gentleman, a good friend of mine, who just saw it on the same day, he was talking about the book and said he's at the forgiveness chapter, doesn't feel emotional at all about it, but is finding it hard to do. So it's those types of things, and then other feedback where they're loving it from start to finish, they're getting so much out of it. So it's really great.
It's brilliant to hear that, and forgiveness is something that I think so many of us, like your friend, do find difficult. But it's so crucial to health and to well-being, isn't it? We had, I don't know if you've come across Richard Moore. Richard Moore is the founder of Children in Crossfire, and we had Richard in on Destination Wellbeing a few months ago, probably now, the beginning of June. And Richard's story is very much one of forgiveness and the power of forgiveness.
Well, Richard Moore, that's so interesting you saying that. Richard Moore, his story's in the book. And the first book launch that we did it to raise money for Children in Crossfire.
Oh, fantastic.
So I only actually received a letter from Richard on Friday to say thank you. But Richard Moore's story is in there as, you know, one of the examples of how powerful it can be. But, you know, the book is a challenge. I've had customers also say, you know, I found this a bit hard-hitting. So it's not airy-fairy, you know, you can go home and do this. It is raising things for people. But again, that's my sort of view, is that is how we learn. When we look at those things that are challenging us and then we rise above them, then, you know, you take it to a new level of your own personal development, which is exactly what it's about.
The things, what I find again in my own journey, and is the things that you find difficult are affecting you some way anyway. They're holding you back somewhere in life. So the bits that are difficult to overcome or to look at, and I'm sure when, as you said, when people read it, they get those challenging times and those bits that sort of step them out of their comfort zone and take us out and maybe make us face things that we would like to keep buried. But the reality is that that stuff is affecting us each and every day. Maybe not consciously, but it is internally somewhere. So it's bringing it to the surface and then letting it go that is the key, isn't it, really?
Absolutely. And as I say, the products were created and developed out of a need from my current customers. And now they're being bought on Amazon, they're being bought off the website, and not just locally. So it's interesting that however they are finding out about it, should that be the website, the Facebook, and those types of things, it's interesting how it's now getting out there.
Internationally as well.
It's obviously, it's just not a need. This is something generally across the board. I'm sure you hear it all the time. Your health really is your wealth, and that will always be the case.
And as you say, and the lifetime health, because we can sometimes think, oh no, well, health's something that I worry about when I'm older, or health's something I worry about when I'm younger, or we always put it sort of in a bracket where we say, yeah, no, but I'm okay, I'm getting by and I'm not sick and whatever, but we don't maybe face some of the issues that we need to be facing on an emotional or mental level, and then they find their way up to bite us at some point.
And you're very right. It's one of those things you don't really address it until it knocks on your door, in a negative way.
Or forces you. I think the body will always try and make us deal with stuff. Whether we do it or not can be a different story, but it's always...
So yeah, I think you're right. You know, again, the products aren't just for people who feel that they need to relax or feel that they need to... They're for across the board. I think anyone would get inspiration and benefit positively, physical and mental health, you know, at any time.
And there'll be something, from what I can gather, is that there's a broad enough spectrum that there's nuggets in there for everybody.
Absolutely. And it's the same as the treatments that we provide as practitioners. You know, it's one of those things, getting treatment and being proactive is just really, you know, great for physical and mental health. Like you say, it's like visiting the dentist. Visit your practitioner every so often and just have a treatment, get that downtime, so that it doesn't get to the stage where it's too far gone and you've got to go week after week after week. So, you know, you're absolutely right. When you're being proactive about it, it makes things so much easier. Absolutely.
And there's phases for that too, because sometimes we go through stages where we're being proactive and then we maybe think, okay, so I'll just go, and then you realise, actually, you know what, something came up there that I need to deal with. And exactly like the dentist analogy, there's sometimes you go to the dentist, you get your checkup and you don't have to go back for 6 months, and that's fine. Other times you go and they say, well, we need to see you next week, and you go, right, okay, well that's what happens and that's what we do. So and I don't think for medical, either or physical or emotional well-being, that we take, generally on a whole, we take that same approach. You know, we'll quite happily go to the dentist every 6 months, but most people I know, if they haven't seen their doctor in 12 months or 2 years, you know, it's nearly like, I haven't been to the doctor for 2 years, and it's great. And I wouldn't be one necessarily for running to the doctor regularly, but I do think it's important to go for our checkups and get, you know, if it's a smear test, or if it's at the age for breast cancer, breast checks or prostate checks or whatever those things, being proactive with that and just checking in.
Absolutely.
And the holistic element then sort of allows a wee bit more of an overall check-in and just see how I'm feeling.
And I think when you think about that, is why don't people? And, you know, it like I said, it is good where people have, you know, they are proactive and they will go and seek out help. But there are a lot of people out there who I genuinely think there's just a fear there. I had a lady recently who had never ever had complementary therapy or an alternative therapy ever. And it was purely somebody in work was saying how great her neck was. She was coming for craniosacral therapy. And this lady came, and she was genuinely, you could see by her body language, that she was genuinely frightened about what was going to happen to her.
And what might...
in the treatment room, and would she be sick, and would she... These types of things. So I would really want to put it out there, you know, on this opportunity, that it's not a scary thing. I know that, you know, to maybe even you can ring practitioners. They'd be more than happy to have a chat with you on the phone and answer any questions that you might have. I know I would definitely do that. I'm sure that you do. I mean, so if somebody wanted to check out craniosacral therapy or reflexology or massage, you know, to really open it up there. And if there's someone you're thinking of going to, call them up beforehand,
and we have a brilliant
and have a chat with them.
It's one of the things that I've loved really about Destination Wellbeing, because we now on our video page for Destination Wellbeing, we now have a full resource of so many practitioners, local and, you know, throughout Northern Ireland and some into the south of Ireland as well. And it's lovely to be able to get that feel and that rapport for somebody, to find out a wee bit more about what they do. Are they normal human? Have they got a story as well? Where I find most of us have, because I think most of us find our way into holistic therapies and into well-being work through our own challenges and
like I say, when it's come to your door,
yeah,
and then you're almost forced to have a look at it.
Yeah, and then you find that maybe, well, okay, it helped me, and then you feel compelled to share that to help other people.
Absolutely. So I would be urging people that if there's, you know, they think that they need help with something, or even if it is just that downtime and would want to even experience a treatment, to local papers. You can check it out on internet, you know, contact
have a look
yourself.
at websites. There's so many options out there, but
definitely speak to the practitioner, the therapist, and get a feel for someone that you are comfortable with, that you feel that you could work with, and get that help rather than sometimes literally suffering in silence. You know, when
and I think it's one part is looking for when it, as you say, whenever, you know, when we feel we need it or we need that help, and then other times it's just, you know what, I can have that wee bit of time out to myself, a wee bit of support from somebody else, maybe a different viewpoint, maybe just to go in and just take myself out of my own busy life and just chill out for a time. So there's different needs at different stages for different people, really, isn't it? And,
absolutely.
one of the things that sometimes maybe too, I'm sure you've come across it, is, well, I had such and such, be it craniosacral reflexology, whatever it is, and I didn't like it, or I didn't. And one of the things I would say is, you know, there could be so many reasons for that. It may be that you and the person who you were treating or was treating you just didn't click. Maybe the environment wasn't right for you. Maybe that you weren't in the right space in your life yourself to get whatever it is. But never never to say, well, just because of one not so good experience or something that didn't feel so good, to not go back.
Well, I say in the book, you know, what is it? It's as crazy as slicing your other 3 guitars because you got a flat one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And you can't just
you're absolutely right. And that's why I would be urging to speak to different therapists.
Yeah. Holistic fairs and things like that can be great for that.
Yeah, are great
as well.
for, you can go and have taster sessions, all of those types of things. There's products there. They are a great opportunity to try those things out. But definitely a non-obligatory chat, and I think most therapists and practitioners most definitely would do that.
Yeah, and they're more than open to it, with the realization as well that they may not be the right person to help somebody else, or that might not be their space, but they can even sometimes refer on and say, well, actually, no, do you know what, I think you would be better talking to such and such, or experiencing that.
You could well get that even from the phone call. Listen, just from talking to you, I think you should speak to. You know, because
as you said, the vast majority of therapists are open to that, and they realise that the well-being of the individual is more important, and that they'll equally be as well. While it might not be them be the right person, there'll be somebody else will say, you know, actually, I think you need to speak to them, and it becomes a bit of a cross referral.
And I think that's it. I mean, we talked before we came on air about even locally, you know, a lot of people don't even know what's available locally. And it is that referring on, and I think therapists and practitioners are very, very good at doing that. I had a customer with me this morning who was asking about difficulty with spelling, and I just happened that Jennifer McMahon, who's also based around at the clinic, is doing wonderful things there with the kids. Gave her the number, and I explained to the customer, you know, give her a call, she'll have a chat with you, and then you can decide, make an informed decision whether you think it's something for your wee boy or not. So I think it is at least having the experience or making the phone call, and I think that is making an informed decision about, you know, if it's the right thing for you or not.
And that's very true wherever. I mean, obviously, again, you were talking about your tools being and the books and the CDs and the DVDs being available throughout the world, and that's something that I'm also conscious of today as well, is that whilst we're talking and we're recording here in the studio in Uri, there are people watching in all over the world as well. So
I should say hello to a couple of people while I'm here.
So it's useful, again, with that, to take that same approach wherever you are. Maybe you could be in Uri, you could be in New York, you could be wherever, but the same thing applies. Check out who's available locally, what they can help you with, get an idea of what you're looking for yourself, and, you know, do ask the questions and get in touch with people. But the whole idea, we've talked about craniosacral, and just to explain maybe what we're talking about a little bit more before we finish off, because we've mentioned it. I know we've talked a lot about the tools that people can use at home and on a regular basis, but explain a little bit more about craniosacral therapy.
The craniosacral therapy predominantly works with the bones in and around the skull bones, and the vertebra, the whole spine, the cervical through the thoracic down into your lumbar area. But it's not just the bones that you're working with. Obviously, you've got lots of tissues, ligaments. You've got fluids in there, cerebrospinal fluid, blood flow, lymph. So predominantly the handles, if you like, for the techniques that you are applying is predominantly to have a positive effect on the spine, because it has an influence on so many other functions.
Well, it's called the central nervous system,
yeah,
for a reason. It's central to
your digestive system, you know, hormonal balance, all of those things. I mean, really, there are books galore on craniosacral, but really, in basic layman's terms, through life in general, some of the things we've talked about. It could be problems at home, marital, it could be being pregnant for the first time and the stresses of, is everything going to be okay? Road traffic accidents, I mean, it's both physical and mental. It could be physical, such as a road traffic accident. It could have been a verbally abusive relationship. So basically, through life in general, when we have those negative experiences, on some occasions where they're quite traumatic, the body literally tightens in order to protect itself. And when that event is over, the body doesn't necessarily completely relax and uncontract. When that happens, the spinal nerves themselves are very, very restricted. Fluids aren't getting in, and more importantly, waste products aren't getting out. And that has a negative effect on the nervous system, your autonomic nervous system. And that is a problem because it affects so much. And that could be physical, like I'm starting to get a sore neck, I'm starting to get back pain, headaches, migraine, menstrual problems, you know, digestive, irritable bowel, a multitude of things. So the whole thing around craniosacral therapy is to get the body as free moving, as relaxed as possible, to relax those bones, have a positive effect on the spinal nerves. When they open, fluids are getting in, more importantly, the waste products are getting out, and it just has a very positive and profound effect on the nervous system to bring about a state of health and well-being.
Fabulous, great. And again, back to lifetime health. It's something that we can use. I mean, I know quite a lot of babies that will have craniosacral, and then right through to adults of all ages. So. And
it really is amazing, because I do have customers that now, even, you know, a couple of months down the line, now they've got brand new babies. I treated them with their other one, and then they're ringing up and saying, okay. And it was really funny. I had a lady, I couldn't believe this, actually rang me from the hospital. And a text came through, and I was like, oh my goodness, you know, I thought you were in the hospital. Yeah, but I just want to organise it for, I'll be home next week. So it, you know,
the benefits of just, because we're talking about heads, and obviously that can all become imbalanced during birth and everything as well. So it's all lifetime health and life for all ages. But Sinead, thanks a million for your time this afternoon.
Thank you so much for having me.
I presume details of all your products are available through your website. And
all of the products are there on the website. It's a new website that's just been launched. So. There's plenty there to read through and have a look at.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you for sharing your information, and I look forward to certainly chatting to you again soon.
Thank you very much.
We'll cover some more detail. I'm sure we'll have great conversations in the future as well here on Destination Wellbeing. Thank you to our viewers for watching in, and I'll be back next week with Destination Wellbeing at the same time, 3 p.m. on Thursday, and then repeat it again on Tuesday. So thank you for watching in. Have a great week, and thanks a million.
Thank you. Thank you.